Good morning. I'm Jeff Davis, Executive Director of the MSU Alumni Association. It's my pleasure to welcome our viewing audience this morning to Bulldog Bites, our virtual speaker series featuring MSU faculty, staff, researchers, and alumni. Today's installment of Bulldog Bites is our Alumni Chapters and Clubs team and talking about staying connected. The chapters and clubs are one great way. They support our mission of fostering lifelong support for MSU's mission through programs, activities, and events for alumni, future alumni, and friends. We're fortunate to have three members of our alumni staff with us this morning. First, Michael Richardson, our Assistant Director of Chapter and Volunteer Programs. He's a three-time graduate of MSU with dual bachelor's degrees, one in chemistry and the other in chemistry physics education, and a master's degree in science education. Michael is in his 24th year on staff with our Alumni Association. Janet Downey, our Coordinator of Chapter and Volunteer Programs. She's a two-time graduate of MSU with a bachelor's degree in communication with a focus in PR and master's degree in sports administration. Janet, also a longtime member of our team, is in her 22nd year with the association. And Brady Sistrunk also joins us this morning. He is our Assistant Coordinator of Chapter and Young Alumni Programs. He's also a two-time graduate of MSU with a bachelor's degree in marketing and just recently finished a master's degree in business administration. And Brady joined our team here at the association in 2018. A reminder to our viewing audience, we encourage you to use the Q&A feature via WebEx. And for those that are following on Facebook Live, submit those within the comment section, and our team will relay those to our presenters this morning. But Michael, Janet, and Brady, good morning to all of you, and welcome to Bulldog Bites.
Good morning, Jeff. Thank you so much for the introduction. We are excited to be here today to share some thoughts with everyone on the concepts of the Alumni Chapters and Clubs program. And I think our goal today is to kind of give you all what chapters are, what they do, where they are, and some tips and hints on how you can locate your local chapter or maybe create something in your area as a part of Mississippi State. So I'm going to start us off with our threesome group and discuss, I guess, the what is an alumni chapter with Mississippi State Alumni Association. And I'll define it as, in effect, a chapter becomes Mississippi State University in its community. The interest that you stimulate, the service you provide, the information you collect and share helps the university and the community and the chapter members. It's a way of keeping your local friends and alumni engaged and connected in the community with communication, activities, and events. And you're also recruiting students in your area. So the alumni chapter does all those things, and clubs do that as well, but we'll get into that in just a minute. A local chapter becomes, in essence, Mississippi State in your backyard. And according to our bylaws and Constitution, in Article 5 of our Constitution, there shall be a local chapter in each county in the state of Mississippi, and there will be a local chapter in any state or area outside of the state of Mississippi, all of which provide acceptable conditions as prescribed by the National Board of Directors. And so we create chapters. We have 94 chartered chapters in our Alumni Association that we oversee each year. And in that, we also have added about a dozen clubs to kind of help facilitate Mississippi State programming in those various areas. So we are really excited about how we can get Mississippi State out in the public eye through our chapters and clubs. Now, again, according to our bylaws and Constitution, chapters in the state of Mississippi are located in each of our counties. But when you go outside of the state of Mississippi, that's when we start forming chapters based off of geographic areas. And we work together with volunteers to, gauge interest and support for those clubs and chapters, in larger cities, larger metropolitan areas across the nation. So to give you an idea of where our chapters are, you can always go back to our website, MSU Alumni, and see on our chapters and clubs page where the various chapters and clubs are located in the state of Mississippi around the state, around the Southeast, Alabama, Texas, Louisiana, Tennessee, and then even as far north as New York, Chicago, over west, Denver, Colorado. And then, we start getting into our club structures, and we're building things all the way out in Seattle, Washington, out in LA, so we're really growing our Bulldog brand across the nation. And that's, I guess, I gave you what, and along with the where. So I'll also maybe to go back to Jeff's statement on the mission of the Alumni Association as it relates to chapters. We are attempting to work with our chapters to spread the maroon and white. And that's through providing activities and events for our alumni and friends. We want to be visible throughout our communities everywhere and get our community involved with Mississippi State programming. We do scholarships for our prospective students and as well as transfer students as well. So that's another mission for our chapters. And then we want to follow Dr. Keenum's message of recruiting students. That's a big priority for our chapters and clubs around the nation, to bring more Bulldogs back to, or start bringing Bulldogs to Mississippi State, as well as keep our other Bulldogs involved. So that's kind of what we are and where we are. Let me talk a little bit about who we are, and maybe share. A lot of you maybe have a question about, are you actually a member of your alumni chapter? How can you be a member of your alumni chapter? And I want to say this, that a chapter member for the Alumni Association is any person with an affiliation to Mississippi State and is listed in our alumni database. And those members include those who have made a gift to the university, whether it's through the MSU Foundation or through the Bulldog Club. As long as you make a financial gift to the university, we will consider you a part of our chapters and clubs. But anybody can join, anybody can be a member of our association, as long as you stay in touch with us and work with us through our chapters and clubs mission. Now, one of the questions we get a lot of the times is, are there dues to being a part of the Alumni Association? Are there dues, chapter dues? And we are one of those universities and alumni associations. We do not have a dues structure. So we don't worry about reaching out for dues, but we do encourage gifts, donations to the university, again, through our foundation's annual giving fund or through the Bulldog Club. We ask you to make a donation to just about any aspect of Mississippi State through those channels, and you can give back to chapter scholarships, to your college and school, to the famous Maroon Band, to the library, back to the Alumni Association. We've got Compass scholarships. There's many, many different ways for you to give back to Mississippi State and consider yourself an active member. But by being an active member, we do tie you in to our Alumni Association and to our alumni chapters and clubs. So I hope that helps, but please, as we move forward, if you have questions, feel free to put them in the chat or in the question and answer section, and I'll be glad to help further clarify those statements that I've made. But I think I've kind of gone a little bit long with my descriptions, but I hope that helps you understand what chapters are, where they are, and maybe who are part of that. Now I want to turn the mic over to my coworker, Janet Downey, and let her maybe give you some ideas on what chapters do. Janet. Janet, I think you're on mute. If you'll unmute yourself, and I'll mute myself. Sorry about that.
I'm used to automatically being on. I forget to unmute. So thank you, Michael. So how exactly do our alumni chapters and clubs and the members of these chapters and clubs support our goals of the Alumni Association? So naturally, what does the chapter do? So why does the chapter function? Michael kind of briefed over these about the things that chapters, goals, and initiatives, but we work towards creating a plan to engage alumni and friends and communicate any way possible about Mississippi State and any activities going on locally that people can participate in on behalf of Mississippi State. So naturally, we want to communicate person to person, phone, social media, email, mail, however we can do to get the word out to people. The chapter obviously does fundraising for chapter scholarships and operational funds, and they take care of nominating individuals for national awards through the Alumni Association, whether that be the Alumnus of the Year, Distinguished Service Awards, Outstanding Young Alums. Our chapters help us keep information out there to alumni and friends to update their information, because, as Michael said, based on where you live will attach you to a chapter or a club. Your mailing address with the Alumni Association is how we do that. So we always want to keep your information updated, and we want our chapters to make things enjoyable and create a positive image for Mississippi State and wherever they are located, because you never know who is watching or paying attention or trying to find out information about Mississippi State. So through this, the chapters work on, like I said, providing various events and activities for our alumni and friends to stay engaged locally. And that could be through chapter meetings with or without a guest speaker, any social get-togethers, maybe any kind of athletic game watch gatherings. We do ask them to have regular board meetings to keep things on track, schedule any kind of family outings, and you can do generational type programming, whether that be a young alumni social or career-based engagement. What we like to call our seasoned Bulldogs or our senior or retiree Bulldogs, to keep them together and just generate any kind of positive engagement for Mississippi State University in your local area. Within that, we also ask our chapters to be visible in their local communities, and through that becomes community service. So participating in any kind of activities going on in your local community, helping out other organizations that need volunteers or to help promote. So through that could be working with, especially in Mississippi, working with your local extension service if they need volunteers to help them with any of their activities. We have several groups that do veterans programs by hosting a float in a local parade, or if there's any kind of program going on that day, they have a presence and help sponsor. You have a local festival or community event and you want to set up a booth or a tent and give out Mississippi State swag and information, that's a great way to get the word out about Mississippi State. We even have a few groups that do signage at ballparks, where we put the Mississippi State logo and the chapter logo there to create awareness. But especially during this pandemic, we have relied heavily on community service projects where the chapters adopt and volunteer with other organizations or take on their own community service roles by collecting food for food pantries, or do a lot in the wintertime with Salvation Army bell ringing and coat drives, or adopting a family for Angel Tree. Throughout the year, we have chapters that adopt a classroom or a teacher and provide school supplies, and help with blood drives. We did a lot of push this fall with sponsoring blood drives to help in that critical need. And then also providing meals or food or some kind of thank you to our first responders here lately, and showing them that Mississippi State is there for them in their local area. And we did talk about, Michael mentioned scholarships. That is a great area for our chapters to really help grow Mississippi State by offering scholarships to their local students. And within that also helps with student recruiting, which is very priceless for our alumni to help. And through that, we have the Alumni Recruitment Network that Ms. Orley Harden oversees, where alumni and friends can sign up to help recruit students, whether that be in your local area through your chapter or through the network, where you can do a lot of writing note cards. But are also within the chapter structure, we do meet and greets on a normal year, whatever normal means anymore. But We can do meet and greets for admitted students or do a student recruiting party, whether that's in someone's home or at a larger location, and where Mississippi State comes and does presentations to the students and parents who are looking at Mississippi State. Helping at college nights, awards programs, anything of that nature where Mississippi State staff can't be there. So we ask our alumni and friends to help us in that regard and represent the university. But we always ask, whether that's within a chapter structure or on your own, wear your maroon and white and speak positively about Mississippi State, because you never know who's watching or listening. And then one of our large programs that we operate through our chapters and clubs is our send-off parties for incoming freshmen and transfer students. And that's usually in July and August. And it's a great way for our local alumni to welcome the new students and their parents and offer them encouragement and support and get them ready to send them off to Mississippi State. So how does all this happen? Well, of course, we need volunteers. Our volunteers represent MSU in your communities, and it takes a village, or in this case, a Bulldog family, to really make our chapters and clubs operate. I mean, we could not do this without our volunteers. So our successful alumni chapters really need dedicated leadership and eager volunteers to help organize this Bulldog family team. We operate anywhere from 400 to 500 volunteers each year, and the level of volunteer time ranges to each individual, but the team needs people who can dedicate their time and talents to help us organize and plan and promote activities for all of our Bulldog family in your chapter area. So, how can you get involved as a volunteer? If you have questions, naturally, Michael, Brady, and myself are available to talk with you about what options are out there and how we can plug you into your local club and chapter. But different types of volunteer leadership roles and positions of any typical organization. We have the president, vice president, secretary, and treasurer. But we also ask for folks to serve on committees, whether that be community service, running the publicity or social media for a chapter club, recruiting students and kind of overseeing that program, helping with scholarship fundraising, being there to find folks to nominate for national awards or chapter awards and offer recognition to those in your areas, help set up programming. So once a chapter decides on what kind of event or activity they want to host, we need people on a programming committee to help push that through. Membership, you just encourage people to make their gifts to Mississippi State through the Bulldog Club or the foundation. Operate the send-off party, and just serve as a board member. So somebody there who may not want to be on a certain committee, but is willing to help in any regard that is needed. But also one of our new programs that we're trying to engage new grads is our young alumni programming side of chapters and clubs. So with that, I will turn it over to Mr. Brady Sistrunk, who oversees our young alumni programming, and he can share what they're working on.
Well, thanks, Michael and Janet. I'll just continue the conversation. Young alumni, first of all, just some definitions so everyone knows exactly what are young alumni. It's not just a term. We classify as the Alumni Association and the university. A young alum is anyone ages 35 and under. Now, that doesn't mean that if you're 36 or 40, we're not going to allow you to come to a young alumni event. That's just what we classify you as in our database, so we can target you with specialized events, certain communications, things of that nature. So different kinds of young alumni events can occur throughout a chapter structure or a club structure. Like Janet was saying, it's really up to the chapter and your creativity as a volunteer on what you would like to see happen in your community and how you would like to support Mississippi State. So some typical young alumni events that we've done in the past with chapters and clubs can include a young alumni social night where you just get together. It's like a meet and greet, you understand, or you meet different young alums in your area. Trivia nights are always so popular. We even have a virtual trivia platform that you can engage now. It makes it easy during the COVID pandemic. A still continuing way to get involved with Mississippi State and your alumni association. Happy hours are always so popular and a fun way to engage with fellow young alums. But also, it's so important to get involved with your chapter as a young alumni because you have such a great opportunity to network with those people in your chapter area that may help you land your next job, may give you mentor advice on transitioning to a different career, even life advice. We see that all the time. So it's a great resource as a young alum to get involved because you get to meet so many different people and you all have a common interest and a desire and a passion to support Mississippi State. So you already naturally have that going for you, and that makes it easier to get involved with a chapter because you have that common interest and the common bond. And you do great, fun things like Michael and Janet were saying, like host game watch parties. You get to do community service events and support Mississippi State in that way, from volunteering at Habitat Through Humanity or Salvation Army bell ringing opportunities. So it's just a great way to get involved after graduation. Another thing I'd like to touch on is in continuing our efforts to support young alumni and really understand what they would like to see from a constituent base, we developed in 2018 a Young Alumni Advisory Council. And this council consists of nearly 40 members of young alums throughout the country. We try to target every region that young alums are moving to after graduation. So areas such as Memphis, Nashville, Birmingham, Atlanta, Washington, D.C. We even have a member in Denver, Colorado. So the Mississippi State Network stretches all throughout the United States. And that's really fun from our side internally to see how many alums are everywhere. But also what's important is this council and our members, they span and represent every college on campus. So it's a very diverse, very representative network that can pull from all of their different backgrounds and really support our alumni association and our university and really help guide us on what young alums would like to see. And if you're interested in, as a young alum, being a part of our council, you can always reach out to me. I can give you advice on how to get involved. And even if we don't have spots open on our council, you can always reach out to me or Michael and Janet, and we can always just understand what you would like to do in your chapter or your club area. Even if it's just organizing a game watch party with your friends that are young alums. We do that all the time. So nothing is off the table. Obviously with COVID, maintaining safety precautions and protocols, but we're here to help. So anything you would like to do, if you move to a new city and you're looking to meet new people, that happens all the time. You don't know anybody there. Your chapter or club are just a great natural way to meet new people. They have a common interest, like I said before, with you. They're there to help you. They're there to support you and to support Mississippi State. But if, a lot of times people ask me, well, I don't have a chapter or club in my area. What can I do? Well, there's a lot of different things you can do besides getting involved in a typical chapter or club activities. You can participate in our alumni recruitment network, which recruiting students is so important. That's an easy way for young alums to do. We send you a letter kit and even a prompt and elicit students to write, and you help tell your story and why they should come to Mississippi State. You can also do community service events, networking events, as I mentioned before. So there's a lot of different ways that you can get involved as a young alum. And it's really a great benefit, in my opinion, to you as a graduate because you get to pull on your experiences, but also help to support Mississippi State in that chapter. So as Janet was saying before, if you have a background in marketing and social media, our chapters always need that. They always need different resources, and our alums have so many different backgrounds and expertise that you can apply to your chapter or club to support Mississippi State. Another thing that we always look to do is find volunteers, especially young alumni volunteers in those targeted chapter areas. So if you're in those areas that you would like to get involved and maybe have been hesitant in the past of getting involved before, just reach out to us. We're here to help you. We're here to provide resources for you to get involved in that area. Anything that you no bad ideas, or no ideas are off the table, rather. If you have a creative idea that you always wanted to try before, Michael, Janet, myself are here to help you to succeed in that and help you get plugged into your chapter. I think that's all I have, so I'll turn it back over to Michael. But again, young alumni, they're an area that we're really trying to target more, really trying to engage more in our chapters, because they are the future of our chapters. Young alums are the future alumni base that we will need to rely on in the future to support Mississippi State. So they are a very vital aspect of our chapters in our alumni constituency. Michael.
Thank you, Brady. That's great information. We appreciate that, those notes on how people can get involved and what we're doing and what we're asking our volunteers to do to support Mississippi State. At this point, we're getting near the close of our program, so I do want to open up and allow folks to make comments on our Facebook page. I see some folks have already given us a shout out, a chat from here in Starkville, from over in Atlanta, Columbus, out there in Dallas. Good to see our friends out that way in Texas, Memphis. So if you've got more questions for us, and I saw a question already in the chat, and we'll try to help out in any way we can. And do we have social media graphics to help recruit volunteers? We can help build something to that effect to help with recruiting volunteers. So we'll work with you as necessary. But we do have different ways and means that we can help recruit volunteers, and we'll be glad to talk to you about those ideas and opportunities. But graphics is a great way of looking at it, because our world is so video heavy right now. But again, if you have other questions, please place them in the chats. But as we're closing up, I want to wrap up and say thank you. Thank you to the members of the Alumni Association. Thank you to those who support our university. But a special thank you to our volunteers in our chapters and clubs for continuing their service through their groups during this crazy, uncertain pandemic. Balancing home and family and work and volunteer service. I know it's been extremely difficult for all of our people, all of our Bulldogs. And so we're truly, truly thankful for giving your time and efforts on behalf of Mississippi State. And, you have to ask, how have we pivoted to change up the Alumni Association and our programming during this pandemic? And I'll give you a couple of thoughts on what we've started doing. Here, our chapters group, we've started doing a monthly volunteer chat session that we get together on Zoom, just so we can share campus information and discuss the latest news from our Alumni Association with our volunteers. So we're doing that to stay engaged. We're in turn asking our chapters and clubs to host virtual events on a regular basis. And those can be things like, whether it's just a virtual meeting by board or a virtual gathering, virtual socials, happy hours. Brady mentioned the trivia game, where we've contracted with a trivia game online, and we're trying to push, and we'd love to see you guys do trivia virtually. There's a host of different ways to stay connected during the pandemic. So we hope that all of our chapters and club leaders will just visit with us and talk about what's available. I do want to make sure that everyone knows the Alumni Association is trying to continue to follow the university guidelines towards events and programming, and we are not doing in-person programming during this pandemic, but we are trying to find ways to keep our alumni and friends engaged across the nation. But we are still following the proper protocols with regards to in-person events. But, I've been impressed that community service, as Janet said, has been a really big focus. When we can't necessarily do in-person things, we can still do little things to help our community and showcase Mississippi State. And cleaning up a highway like they're doing down there on the coast, or feeding volunteer first responders like they're doing here in Starkville. I mean, there's a host of different things you can do community service-wise to step up and help Mississippi State. And, Dr. Keenan would ask you to continue recruiting students and talking to kids about coming to Mississippi State. We offer programs and things that a lot of universities can't do. And so we're a flagship university, not only for the state of Mississippi, but for the South and for the nation. So keep talking big about Mississippi State and our Bulldog family and what students can do and learn and become as a member of the Bulldog family. I also want to continue. We want to continue our fundraising efforts with our university. So keep helping us find ways to help scholarships out, and our chapters and clubs are doing a great job of that as well. So I could go on, but again, I want to double check and make sure if there's any questions, if there's any thoughts anyone has before we go, before we close. I also want to mention that with our chapters and clubs and volunteers, we're going to have a virtual leadership conference where we'll get our leaders together to talk about ways to continue the mission of the Alumni Association, but we'll be doing that virtually as opposed to in person. So we're trying our best to stay engaged and connected with our Bulldogs, and we're doing what we can, but we're going to do it safely and we're going to do it judiciously throughout. So I think that covers it.
One other thing I wanted to mention, I can jump in there, Michael. We do list our events and activities that our chapters are working on our Alumni Association website on the events calendar. So anytime you see anything listed there, especially virtual events, it's not just tied to that one chapter area. Anybody can join and participate in those. So feel free. If there's something coming up and there's a speaker you want to hear from, like tonight, Michael's hosting a virtual meeting with our Indianapolis club with Steve Robertson. And so if that's something you want to listen to Steve and engage in that, join in tonight. We'll be happy to have you. And then we talked about our monthly volunteer chats. If you want to see what that's about before you want to jump into the chapter volunteer world, you can join us on those. They are always listed with the link. So join us and see what that's all about. And then also with our leadership conference coming up, we'll be sharing training videos and informational videos and stuff. So if you want to learn more about what all we're doing, feel free to join in those also. And it's for everyone, not just alumni, friends, parents, spouses, anybody. As long as you're part of the Bulldog family, you're part of us.
Well said, Janet, well said. So now let me quickly, before we close, I'll say this, you can always go back to our Alumni Association webpage, alumni.msstate.edu, and check out all these things that we've talked about and so many other programs that our Alumni Association hosts besides just chapters and clubs. But you can also, as Janet's holding up her phone, don't forget to check out our app. Download our app and see what's going on with the Alumni Association through our app with the services that we're providing through that venue. You can have the Alumni Association on your phone in a heartbeat. So don't forget to download the app. And please feel free to follow us on our social media channels, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. We've actually got a YouTube page where we're showing videos. The Bulldog Bites and the State to You videos are on our YouTube channel. So there's a million different ways to stay connected with the Alumni Association and our chapters program. So check out all those particular options and follow us, find us, and stay in touch with us. I'm going to go ahead and close by saying thank you all for joining us for this edition of Bulldog Bites. We hope that you will continue to join us for future editions of Bulldog Bites and continue connecting with your MSU Alumni Association. On behalf of Brady Sistrup, Janet Downey, and myself, Michael Richardson, the Big Dog, hail State and go Dogs.